Do you feel like the only choice you have when it comes to demands on your time and energy is to just suck it up and make everyone else happy? Or do you do everything that everyone else wants you to do because you're afraid of feeling less than? Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can stop saying yes to everything and learn to protect your time and energy. Hi, I'm Jess of JessDickerson.com, and I'm a life coach helping you go from stress to success by giving you the tools to be more confident, more motivated, and less stressed. If you want to make sure you don't miss an episode, go down below this video and hit the subscribe button. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why boundaries are the answer to protecting your time and energy, and you're going to know how to create and uphold those boundaries for yourself. Saying yes to everything is a pretty common thing. Many of us just want the people around us to be happy. The problem is that it can become a habit to say yes to everything without ever considering your own needs, and then that can lead you down a very dangerous road. Now, if you're primarily around people that are thoughtful and considerate, they may inadvertently put too much on you, but it probably won't happen that often. However, if you continue being a people pleaser, it's likely that you're going to attract a taker. Takers are the opposite of people pleasers. Where people pleasers tend to put everyone else's needs above their own, takers put their own needs above everyone else's. Takers love people pleasers because they know that their needs will always be met by that person. And they will do whatever it takes to keep the people pleaser attached to them and in their place. You might be in a relationship like this with a parent, with a friend, with a manager. While this relationship is great for the taker, it's toxic for the people pleaser, who can sometimes actually go into burnout just trying to make the taker happy. And spoiler alert, if you have takers in your life, no matter what you do, it will never be enough. But even if you're not in the relationship with a taker, you can still be massively overextending yourself with little things that you're doing for a bunch of different people. If you find that you have low self-esteem, are always putting everyone else's needs above your own, hardly ever say no to requests even though you don't want to say yes, are harboring resentment for those around you, or have guilt and anxiety about interacting with others due to the fear that you'll be asked to do something, then you might not have boundaries in place or might not be enforcing those boundaries. What those boundaries are going to do is help you protect your time and energy, which will then help you protect your mental well-being. So really quick, what do I mean when I talk about boundaries? I mean, we're not cattle farmer putting fences up around fields here. Boundaries are the line in the sand that you draw around your values. Now, if you don't have any boundaries, that's not to say that you don't have any values. It's just that you're not prioritizing your values above other people's wants. And it truly is a line in the sand. You have to draw the line, and then you have to tell people about the line, and then you have to stand there at the line and tell people that they are not welcome to cross it. Because as frustrating as it is, your boundaries are going to have to be defended. In this video, I'm specifically talking about the values of your time and energy. You can have all kinds of values that have all kinds of boundaries. And if you're struggling to figure out what some of those other values might be, take a look in the description and I'll have a link to the article that I wrote about boundaries that helps you figure out what your values are. But basically, the first step is figuring out what your values are and then deciding what the boundary should be. So now this is where it gets personal. What are your specific limits on your time and energy? Do you need to stop being expected to answer emails at midnight? Do you need to limit the amount of time you spend helping out a family member? Do you simply need to cut back the amount of time that you're spending with a person that might be toxic? Now, there might be something big going on in your life and you might be immediately clear on what it is and where you need to cut back. Or you might not be sure where the issue's coming from and you might need to sit down with a piece of paper and make a list of all the different places that are taxing you so that you can cut back a little bit here and there and save your overall sanity. This process of deciding what the boundary is, that's the drawing the line in the sand. And so the next step is telling other people that you have drawn a line in the sand. If this is a new thing for you, you might have a lot of communicating to do. You might find that the people around you are surprised and hopefully proud and supportive of the fact that you are now setting boundaries. And you might get some pushback from people. And if you're dealing with a taker, you're likely to get a lot of pushback. However, when you are communicating the boundary, make sure that you are firm and that you're not wavering at all. Any indifference about the way that you talk to people about the boundary, or if you make them believe that they might be able to roll over the boundary, is just going to cause them to test it more often, which will just be more frustrating for you. Then this can become a real struggle because the more often that they test it makes you want to give up on the boundary, and then you kind of get into a power struggle, which nobody needs. So when you're communicating your boundary, just be firm and clear. And the last step is defending your boundary. You can expect your boundary to be tested pretty regularly. Some people might be checking to see if it's still there. Some people might have forgotten that you put that boundary in place. But whatever the reason is, you're going to have to re-communicate that boundary and stand by it. Having to defend a boundary happens more often when something is new or when you've put a boundary back in place that you have sort of dropped. Those people around you are just not used to you having this boundary, or they have pushed this boundary out of habit because it hasn't been a problem for them before. Remember that the people around you, unless they're takers that are doing it on purpose, are usually not thinking about your boundaries and hurting you so much as they are just worried about their own needs. Often a gentle reminder that that boundary is in place is enough. However, if you're dealing with a taker, you might have to be firm and clear and repeat the boundary over and over until the taker realizes that they can no longer take from you. When you're setting boundaries, remember that you don't have control over anyone else's behavior but your own. So when it comes to your behavior, just think about what you can do when something happens. It would be great if the guy at the office would stop telling racist jokes, but you can't control his behavior. So just decide what you're going to do the next time that happens. Beware of leaky boundaries. Leaky boundaries are when you set up a boundary, but you make a lot of exceptions for allowing stuff to come through. And the next thing you know, the boundary is completely gone. The other problem is that people will constantly be testing it. If you set a firm boundary and you don't let people pass it, then it's less likely that they're going to test it as you go into the future. So life after boundaries might be different than it was before, and hopefully it's good stuff. If you are protecting values of your time and energy, you should be feeling a big boost from that, of getting more free time, having more energy to do the things that are important to you. However, you might notice a change in some of your relationships. Just remember, a good relationship is built on mutual respect. And if you have people in your life that aren't willing to respect your values of your time and your energy, then those relationships might be something that you're going to need to evaluate. Any negative relationships that have been diminished by you putting boundaries in place just gives you more time and energy to put positive relationships in their place. And there you go, 3 ways to create a boundary so that you can protect your time and energy. I'd love for you to go down to the comments section and let me know where you're going to be setting those boundaries. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead down and hit the like button. And if you want to make sure you never miss an episode, hit the subscribe button as well. If you're interested in more information on values and boundaries, go ahead down to the description and I'll have a link to the article that I wrote about them. I'll also have a link so you can sign up for my newsletter so that you can get more awesome content like this delivered straight to your inbox. And if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I'll have a link where you can look at my programs and schedule your free call with me. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.